And so, like I had already said, if you've been following this week and what's going on, today I'm going to do the other two sheets for the Excel assignment. So basically, I used the Zoom session today and yesterday to cover how to do those charts. Now, there also are the tutorials. I'll bring up the Google Classroom here. There's Google Classroom. Now, even though all my CompLit students are invited to this, this time slot is the one I'm required to do because of fourth block. So it's a fourth block time slot, but everybody's welcome here. So there's my information there. So just to reiterate here, just so everyone's clear in case anybody missed it when I talked about it before, the Excel assignment this week, first of all, just to back up, your Amazon one should have been done. Your Facebook one should be done. And then today you got the useful websites assignment. None of them are hard, and all relevant, important information. So, and then today we're going to wrap up the Excel. The only thing we're going to do Excel next week is I want to do a post test that's connected to that pre-test you guys did. So I'll be sharing some information, some review information, and then you'll do the post test, which will count as like a real test, but it's not real hard. You already saw it already. It's the pre-test, except it'll be labeled as a post test. And that's just to show that you learned some things about formulas and functions and what Excel does. So it will not be difficult, and I'll be sharing some information about that. But today is our last of the Excel workbooks, and this workbook is on charting, which is one of the main things Excel is used for. People go in there to make charts all the time, and if you worked in a job where you had to give presentations and talk about data and sales and market share and all that kind of stuff, they use Excel all the time for that. And now when they make a chart in Excel, they may, say copy that chart and put it in a PowerPoint, put it in a Word document, do whatever you want with it. But, well, the way I originally had this set up, this here is, you guys know, the PDF with our raw data. So this is for sheet 1 and sheet 2. Now there's some little notes in here that obviously you don't have to include. Sheet 3, which we're going to do today, about trees, seedlings for trees, and then our budget. Now this budget here is pretty much same thing we did earlier in another assignment, but might have some slightly different numbers in it, not a big deal. But that'll be one of the ones we're doing today with a chart. Okay, so that was where the raw information came from. For those doing it this way, you start out with my tutorial here. I set it up. Then I tell you in the tutorial to pause it and go to this tutorial. And this one covers the first chart. Then you come back to here and you watch a little more. Then it tells you to pause it and go to this one. And this covers the second and the third chart. And then you come back to mine and I do the last one. So it may look a little confusing, but if you watch the way I did this, it's actually not bad and it's pretty easy. And these are professionally done videos that are quite good. So that's one way you could have done this assignment. The other way is what we're going to do right now. So I'm going to end this share. Excuse me there. And I'm going to take out Excel. I got to share it with you guys. By the way, if you got questions anytime along the way, just unmute yourself and ask. You could put it in the chat, but because my screen's kind of tight here, my chat window's not always open, so I may not see it right away in the chat. But okay, so here's what's going on here. Can everyone see the Excel okay now? Okay, this is what we did yesterday. We did the first one. We did this type of chart here. It's a column chart. I guess the main difference of a column chart and a bar chart is a bar chart goes sideways in Excel and a column chart goes up and down, but they're similar to each other. Then yesterday we did this line chart here, and this was data about Amazon sales. Now the idea of a chart is you take data, like if you look at this data above here, you just take a quick glance. You don't really automatically know anything, okay? It's like there's years, there's revenue, what happened? Now, if you sit there and take some time and think about it and look at each number, yeah, you'll probably figure out some trend. But if you take a look at this chart here, in a matter of 2 seconds, you can figure out like, oh, look at their sales have been going up the last 10 years. Okay, that's the beauty of charts. You take some data, and if it's properly put on the right type of chart, not all data works on every type of chart, and you label it a bit so people know what it is. Is it Amazon sales? Is it billions of dollars over here? I didn't feel the year to put years here. I think this is pretty obvious years, but you could have put over here years, and it's showing the sales are going up. And by the way, there are different type of charts in different ways you can format this, as you probably know. So today we're going to start with this one here. Now, originally, I took this assignment from one that a student had typed up, and they chose to start in B2, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to choose to move this over a little bit just to give me some more room. So I'm going to get rid of this column here I don't really need. And I'm going to just do a right click and delete it. And that just moved everything over. Now, I could have selected it all and dragged it over there too. But now this width here is mostly about this text in the second row. This title up here is fine if that spills over. Now, what I'm going to do here is move these over just a little bit. I don't need them quite so wide. And then I'm going to select my data here, and I'm going to center it all. I think that'll look a lot nicer. Okay, I think that looks a lot better. And just to make these headings here stick out a little bit, I'm going to give them a color. Okay, so I think that looks nice. Now, what is this? You start always with what is going on? What is the point of this information? And the point of this information here is the heights of tree seedlings. Seedlings are young trees being grown over literally a matter of days. So the first column has days, you know, on 0, this is how big it is, and this is in centimeters. And then by the day 20, this is how big that they are. Now this here looks like a typo. When I made the chart this morning, it's like it took a big drop, and that didn't make any sense. You know, why would a tree go down? Okay. So I think that was probably supposed to be like 15. So I'm going to fix that there. It looked weird on the chart. But that was another thing. I caught the mistake on the chart because the chart had the line go take a big drop. And it made no sense that a tree growing would suddenly drop dramatically unless it died. Okay. So here's our information. Now, when you go to select data on a chart, almost never do you include like totals. Now, this doesn't have totals on it. It's not that type of chart or spreadsheet. But if it did, I usually avoid that. We just look for the information. Often I avoid the title. Sometimes when you select the title, it'll pop in just fine in the chart and look good. And other times it just kind of screws up your chart. So when in doubt, select what you think is most likely to work. You can always delete whatever you make, you know, trial and error. I can't emphasize that enough. I do it all the time. If I'm doing this without watching someone else show me how to do it, I just try things. And then if it works, great. And if it doesn't, just delete it. So I selected for these titles up here, the types of trees and the time. And then it also includes all this data right here. Now I'm going to next go to insert. Now I could go to see what recommended. Remember recommended charts from yesterday? I could click that and it shows me stuff like this. That'd be using a clustered column chart. That doesn't really look like what I'm imagining here. They got chart title, like or whatever. This would be a clustered whatever. And I look through these and I don't really see ones that look that interesting. Maybe the scatter one's looking pretty good. Let's see what this scatter one looks like. Okay, now what's kind of weird here is I only included 2 of the trees. I don't know why. Okay, I think I selected all of it, but whatever reason, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to press delete key on my keyboard because that was selected. And I don't know why I did that, but I do know what should work because I've done this now a few times. And I'm going to go back to insert. I'm going to bypass recommended. And these type of charts here, I'm looking for scattered. So there it is right here. It says XY scatter. I'm just going to click that. That brings up these options here. I'm going to go to the second option, see what I get. Okay, that's looking pretty good. It's showing the, this isn't labeled, but these are days. these are the three types of trees, say seedlings, and they each got their own line and colors and data points. Okay, so what can I do with this? Well, I can start by double clicking up here and give it a name. So we're going to call it heights of tree seedlings. Okay. Now, if you were at the lesson yesterday, you know that you can, with your chart selected, you can go up here, what's called add chart element. And I want to do an axis title, and they got for horizontal and for vertical. So I'll do vertical first. That'd be the one on the left. And I'm going to highlight in here and put days. So people know what that is. So if you don't do that, they don't know what those numbers are. Is that hours? Is that days? Is it weeks? Is it months? Okay, so now we know that's days. Now this here, we don't know what that is either. What's 5? What's 10? What's 15? What's 20? Okay, we know from looking up here it's centimeters, but we don't know that on our chart. So I'm going to go back up to add chart element, go to axis title, and I'm going to do the first one, horizontal. And I'm going to double click in here, and I'm literally just going to put CM and deselect. So that's for centimeters. Okay, we got the heights of tree seedlings, we got days, we got centimeters, we got our legend here telling us what each of the lines are, types of tree, and we can see that the Morris alba is growing faster and higher, and maybe it's supposed to, and the Acer palmatium, whatever that's pronounced, is in the middle, and then the Quercus rubra, these are all probably Latin names, is a little bit below. Okay, so, and just to also remind you, once you have one done, even if you think it looks pretty good, just for heck of it, you can always click up here and try out some different layouts. Would that one be better? That looks pretty good. I kind of like that. Would this one be better? What about one, yeah, like you have all these different options up here. I would say I probably, let's see, that one I liked as the original one. I think I like the legend up above a little better, so I'm going to leave this one. Now you might say, Mr. Rio, do we got to do the exact same thing that you did, down to the type of design and layout and that? No, you don't. If you picked one of these other ones that looks a little different but still does a reasonably good job and you can still see the basic information and it makes sense, that's fine. And I encourage you to try stuff out. Okay, so that's it. And then this here, you just can move it wherever you want it here. And there are ways you can copy and paste these. You can export them in Excel. Obviously, there's a lot more features if you want to adjust fonts or colors or backgrounds or whatever you want to do. It's all possible. So there's the third one done. I'm going to update my save here. Always a good idea. Now, and by that one, I named line graph. I'm going to rename that and just call it seedlings, or you could call it trees. Okay. We had Amazon, game sales. This one I'll call seedlings. You want to call it trees, that's fine. Now the last one is going to be a pie chart, and I'm just going to leave it pie chart because pie chart's kind of a fun chart to do. You probably have seen pie charts many times in the past, and they're really good for things like budgets. Okay. You look at the whole budget, and then each slice of the pie shows you visually what, where you're spending your money. So going to this one here, I don't need my name there. I may add that later. I certainly don't need these totals in my pie chart. I really just want the categories and how much I'm spending in each one. So I'm going to select this data right here. And when you select data and you go to make a chart, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, you can always, delete the chart, go back and select a different mix of data. Okay, so the more you trial and error, the better you get at this. Okay, now I'm off to insert. And this time I'm going to go straight to pie chart, which is right here, because that's the one I want. I'll go to the first one, which is the regular old pie chart. And it starts with this. Okay, that's a start. It's not what I want, but it's close. We got the different categories. There's a lot of them. So the problem when there's a lot of them is if you got one that's like a shade of blue and you look up and there's like 3 different ones that are shades of blue, that can be a little bit hard to figure out. So I'm not quite done with this one yet. I'm going to double click up here and I'm going to put my name and the budget in there. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this format thing here so it can give me a little more room. Okay, so that's a start. Okay, I think that's a start. I wouldn't stop there because a quick glance to this doesn't really tell me a lot. I'd have to really stop and agonize over it almost as much as I have to agonize over looking at this to figure out what's going on. But we start with this. Then we're going to go up here and click on some of these other ones. Okay, here's a different one. Here, oh, that one's starting to show percentages. That's kind of useful, except it's a little bit hard to figure out the categories. Then I go to this one here, kind of similar. This one, that one there. Now that's getting better. Okay. I think I'm going to go back to this one here, but this isn't quite what I want. Okay, all these got, even the ones with the percentages are getting close, but they're not quite what I want. So I got to do a little custom editing. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go over here to add chart element, and I'm going to go to data labels. Now, right now for data labels, it says inside end. Let's see what happens if I do. See, I'm trying to think what I did earlier. Clicked on here. Oh, maybe I went to quick layout. Let me see what this does. That's what I did. Okay. On quick layout, I went to just the first one, and then I really liked what this here did. Okay, it took the legend out, but it just labeled each thing. So I can look at this. Now, the only thing is some of this text is a little bit dark on a dark background, so you might want to edit that for colors if you're going to use that. But and also I drag it a little bigger and make it look better. Okay, I'll drag it over this a little bit so you can see it better. That to me is looking quite useful because I can take a quick look and I can see, okay, there's gas and miscellaneous. That's a big one. Rent is a big one. Food is a big one. So that to me does a fairly good job visually showing me my information. Again, I could go through and tweak and change colors and backgrounds and everything like that, but I think at this point you get the point how a pie chart works. Okay, so if you want to call this pie chart down here, if you want to call it budget, that's okay. I think that's looking pretty good. So like I said, this week and everything that we do here in Excel, this is just an introduction. Of course, there's way more features, way more options, but I wanted you to have introductions in these basic, and I consider quite important skills. So if you follow me either now or later, look at the recording, you see that this isn't that hard of an assignment. So I'm going to undo this right here. And I think that's pretty much all I have for today. I don't know if you guys can. Has everyone gone? No, not everyone's gone in the chat and put hello yet. If you can do that, that'd be great. If you have any other questions or comments, you can put them in the chat or unmute yourself. Okay. Like I said, the next couple of weeks will be mostly doing internet-related topics. We'll wrap up the little bit of Excel we need to wrap up next week. Maybe a few general videos relating to technology and stuff we'll go watch. And it's when you come, we got one more week and then 2 weeks off and then coming back. If anyone's behind, those 2 weeks off are a golden opportunity to get caught up. So I will be checking things, not maybe as often, but I will be checking multiple times a week. While we're off, you can still contact me for questions and so forth. So that's it for today. Thank you guys. When I say guys, of course, I mean guys and girls for coming. And if you got any questions, just unmute yourself or type in there. And if not, you guys get out and enjoy this nice weather here. It's getting pretty nice today. Of course, rain and that may be coming in, but it's probably one of the warmer days today and maybe tomorrow and Sunday. Then it'll start getting cold again. Okay, from the studio, take care. Have a good Friday. Stay caught up. Contact me for questions, and I'll see you. Mai, if you're still there, I'll be in Monday and Wednesday if you want to come in at all.